At this time of the year, the garden centres are usually stocked with Christmas trees and Christmas decorations. So I wanted to talk about 5 plants that are traditional Christmas plants. The poinsettia is native to Mexico and Central America. It's actually a euphorbia, and they are considered really tricky to keep alive after Christmas and are traditionally just bought for Christmas and then discarded. However, if grown in a draft-free space with bright indirect sunlight and kept at a temperature of around 15 degrees C, this plant can actually survive for many years. It likes minimal watering, only water when the soil is dry, and it does like its leaves to be misted. It will also benefit from being fertilised with tomato feed. The poinsettia first became associated with Christmas in Mexico in the 14th century. But in 1836, Joel Roberts Poinsett brought this plant to America, and this is where the name poinsettia first originated. However, it wasn't until the 1980s that this plant started to become associated with Christmas in the UK. The Schlumbergera is better known as the Christmas cactus. Native to the coastal mountains of southeast Brazil, this succulent grows on rocks and trees and prefers a shady spot with high humidity, so it will enjoy being misted a few times a week. In order to continue flowering each year over Christmas, the Christmas cactus will require 2 periods of rest with lower temperatures and reduced watering. At first after it's finished flowering over Christmas, and then again in September. Unfortunately, there's no interesting backstory as to why this plant is associated with Christmas. It simply flowers from November to January. Similarly, the amaryllis is associated with Christmas due to the timing of its flowering, but also due to the fact that in Victorian times it was associated with strength and determination. Again, most people treat amaryllis like an annual, however they can bloom again the following year and for years to come if the correct care is taken of them. When the flower has finished blooming, simply cut away the flower head to stop seeds from forming, and after the first frosts you can plant it outdoors in the ground. It can stay outside until just before the next frosts come, when you bring it back indoors and pot it up. Just like tulips and daffodils, it just needs to store up enough energy to be able to rebloom, but it will need a rest period, placing them in a cool, dark area for a few weeks. If you do this, there's no reason why your amaryllis shouldn't keep flowering every year for many years to come. One person's actually claimed that their amaryllis has flowered every year for 75 years. But whether you plan to keep yours going or just treat them as annuals, amaryllis like to be planted on the top of the soil so that the bulb doesn't rot, and in a tight container that's going to keep those roots root-bound. They like bright, indirect sunlight and water approximately twice a week while the plant is growing. The ilex, otherwise known as the holly, is probably one of the most iconic Christmas plants and was adopted as a symbol of Christ's crown of thorns, while the berries were said to represent his blood. As an evergreen plant that's looking its best around Christmas time, it ended up being the perfect choice to bring indoors to be used for decorating the house for Christmas. Most hollies prefer full sun or part shade. They like moist, well-draining soils, and they can grow in most soil types, although they don't do so well in chalk. This is a slow-growing plant that can grow up to 10 to 15 centimetres a year, but it will reach up to a height of up to 4 metres. Another plant often used for its evergreen leaves is the ivy or hedera. The origins of the holly and the ivy actually date back to the pagan times, where both plants were used to celebrate the winter solstice and to ward off evil. In pagan times, the holly was thought to be the male plant and the ivy the female. Ivy is a climbing plant that is known for growing tiny roots along its stems that help it to grip hold of anything from a brick wall to the trunk of a tree, and it has a reputation for doing quite a bit of damage to buildings. It's an ideal plant to grow in a pot where the leaves spill over the side, which is really attractive. And it can be grown indoors or outdoors, and it's a really tough plant that will grow in most growing conditions. Viscum album is also known as the mistletoe. Its symbol of love and peace dates back to ancient Norse mythology, which is where the tradition of kissing under the mistletoe first came from. It traditionally forms its white berries through winter and was often used by pagans to decorate around this time of year. However, it is getting increasingly hard to get hold of mistletoe around Christmas time now, and I was actually lucky to get hold of this piece, although it has no leaves, and have used fir to give it a bit more greenery. So I wanted to talk through the process of growing mistletoe from seed. Now these berries are still translucent, which means that they're not yet ripe and the seeds won't be viable. So I'll be getting a mistletoe growing kit in February, but for now I can talk you through the process and show you how you would grow mistletoe from seed. Simply squeeze the berry open to release the seed that's inside. You can see that it's covered in a sticky jelly-like substance. This is because mistletoe doesn't grow in soil like most plants, but on the branches of trees. Therefore, the sticky substance will help the seed attach to the bark. Mistletoe grows best on fruit trees such as apple or crabapple, which I'm using here, or hawthorn. And you should select a branch that's 5 to 10 centimetres in diameter and will get plenty of light. Now, I'm just going to use this branch here for now, just to show you how easy it is for that seed to stick to the branch. And if this was a viable seed, it would root down into that branch, although it'd take about 4 years before you notice that anything's growing there. You should try to get about 6 seeds on each branch, because the berries will only grow on the female plant, so you want to make sure you've got at least some. And in 5 years' time, the plant should be producing its own berries ready for you to harvest for Christmas. If you're enjoying this content, then please do make sure you're subscribed to my channel. This is still a new channel, so every subscriber really does make a difference. You can also turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any of my new videos. And please let me know what you think in the comments, because they really do help my channel to grow. You can also follow me on social media for links to my latest videos and my photo of the day, in which I usually share photos of flowers from my garden, along with their names if known. You can follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, or you can join my Facebook group to ask questions or share photos. And you can find all of my YouTube videos on the Freya's Tropical Garden website, which I will also be expanding to provide advice pages as well as items for sale. Links to these pages are included in my description.